Doug Thrower, who was the brass caption head at the time, this is way before he became an arranger, and at the time he was a music student at McGill University studying jazz performance and trying to get us to really employ jazz articulations in everything that we did. Yeah, for the young people, they have a revolving door of techs. There's like 5 tuba techs every year now. Back in that day, there would be 5 brass staff.
No, sure.
If somebody left tour,
counting Doug.
Yeah, if somebody left tour, somebody didn't get teched.
We have Marty, Troy, Doug, Bob.
Doug and Troy were there the whole time.
All the time. Doug and his Bart
Simpson pajamas. Yeah, if Doug showed up to Hornark in the Bart Simpson pajamas, you knew it was a rough night on the staff.
And his coffee.
This was the only color guard I ever marched that had a theme song, which was "Walking on Broken Glass."
No.
We didn't wear shoes, and so our uniforms were basically walking around barefoot in all the parking lots that we were in.
It was 100 and something degrees in Jackson. Can I tell you how hot that asphalt was? It was very different from what a lot of guards were doing. I mean, how many of them were holding up, a bent Dizzy Gillespie horn, that Kelly was holding, or running around with jars on our heads, things that were not very traditional.
So the color guard work wasn't like technically challenging flag wise, like it would be in the later 90s, but certainly all of the stuff that we were doing in the color guard was way more performance, box 5 kind of stuff that you would like. It definitely was in this transitional period of color guard, I would say, in the Bluecoats.
My rookie year stretched me so far to be creative and to do something different, and I think it came out well. I really do.
Can we just go back to the fact that I'm just learning for the first time people call us the cheese coats, and I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that was a big thing that got tossed around a lot when I talked to those guys I knew in cadets. We're like, oh, he's marching cheese coats this year. Like, don't worry, he'll be with us next summer, though. I'm like, no, I won't.
I think when we started this season, when we started tour, there were probably like 7 baritone holes. And there's like, wow, there's big gaps.
Like my first drum corps show, I remember we walked out because it was all so faded and we had no lines.
It's not like you get up close and you could see the lines. You couldn't see anything. It was green. It was just crazy.
If we're going to talk about thinking you were going to die, Jazz runs 16 counts in a company front, and just going into it, playing contra, the mellophones are backing into us and we're going forward, and I'm like, you know what, I've got my spot. If you can't find yours, sorry about your luck. I'm bigger than you, higher on the food chain. I think this is also the first year that Bill Hamilton was the corps director, and I think everybody can remember Bill's quote all summer was "Wash your hands."
Wash your hands. Yeah, wash your hands.
He was ahead of his time.
Because remember the free day that we had it, and we went and watched Jurassic Park in the theater. Scene where they're checking out the dinosaur dung, and the guy sticks his hands in it and he says, "Oh, you
will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything."
125 of us just absolutely lose our minds because there was a Bill Hamilton quote in Jurassic Park.
I could tell you something else about Bluecoats that was very, especially in '93. You could look around the corps and find somebody that looked just like you. You saw Chris Miles on the podium. You saw Marcus next to center. You saw somebody in every single section that was diverse. It felt like home to me there.
And you know, there could certainly be times where, you know, we got on each other's nerves and that sort of thing, but there was love there, and it was just genuinely felt.
92, you had Doug Thrower all the way, be the spine all the way to today, right? You had Bill Hamilton all the way to today. You still have Ted all the way. How many of those leadership positions are still there in other corps?
You know, and also we spent so much time together, and an important part of our lives just in maturity and growing up. And, you know, days turn into, you know, weeks or become months, and days are like weeks long. It feels like an eternity. And just to spend that much of that kind of time with each other at key points in our lives, you know, they're just, that you can't take that away from anything. So that's how we become family.
And we lived in a utopian society. They told us when to get up. They told us when to hit the field. They told us when we could take a shower and when we could do anything. And when you're, you know, 16 to 21 or whatever, you're right, some formative years, but we watched out for each other.
I think from the top down, there's a culture, you know, going back to the Ted Swaldo days and the Bill Hamilton as a director, of really just caring about each and every individual. For the Bluecoats over the past 40 years, there's been a culture of caring about each person.
There was a lot of question marks in the activity as to what happens to the Bluecoats now. You know, they've been in finals for 5 years, and like two straight years of finishing in 11th place, and it looked like they were on the downward trajectory after 92. So there was a pivot that had to happen in 93, had to happen. Otherwise, the trajectory of success may not have followed what it followed. But I think, you know, one of those pivot points in our history was in 93, because without the tenacity and hard work and dedication that all the members showed to making that product something that was really good. It turned out really good. And it was the springboard for what happened, obviously in 94, 95 especially. It was probably the springboard that shot them on an upward trajectory. So there's a few of those that need to be celebrated in our history, and I think 93 is probably one of them.
I think my favorite tune was A Night in Tunisia. It had such an arc in that tune, like how it ended, how it began, how we started from a position where I think we were all in a pose, and then we came up, and then the guard they had headdresses and also the vases on dancing, and then we had poses, and I remember you guys started that tune, and then at the end, I don't think many people understand, like we had a tag at the end of the show after Night in Tunisia, and that was awesome as well. So that was my favorite tune.